Hello, and welcome to the Healing Dreams Project, exploring projective dream work for your health and wholeness, with hosts Billie Ortiz and Dr. Royce. I am the producer, and today we will explore a dreamer who called into our dream hotline. Actually, Luna, who is with us right now. Luna had a little difficulty calling the dream line, so she Instagrammed the message to the Healing Dreams Project Instagram account, which is another way that we can receive the dream. So we can go ahead and dive right in.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Luna's dream.
Hello, my name is Luna, and I'm sharing a snippet of a dream that I had. So, in the dream, I'm in a big place that seems to hold a lot of old things, and the place extends out into the ocean. So now I'm with another person, and we're making our way, circling around all these old items, old furniture and other things that are rounded up in the ocean. I notice the desk there that I used to have as a child and teenager growing up, and I get really excited to see it. And then I see my own body floating in the water, dead. I see mostly my face and my upper torso, and I'm thinking about how it takes 7 years for all the cells in our bodies to be renewed. And I know that this is a past version of myself, this dead body version. And I have this awareness that it's all made up of old cells. And it feels a bit weird and eerie seeing myself floating there in the water, but it also looks peaceful.
End of dream.
All right. That's wonderful.
Such a beautiful dream.
I
If
just
this were my dream.
I just love the part of I have an understanding as the dreamer that this is something that's made up of all the old versions of myself because my body renews every cell every 7 years, and I just love that as a dream metaphor. How beautiful.
Is that something that I, as the dreamer, have contemplated very often, that my body replenishes itself that way?
Not that often, but so growing up, I went to a Waldorf school, and that is an understanding that was taught to me within the context of anthroposophy, which is the philosophy and science that Rudolf Steiner founded. That's the foundation for the Waldorf kind of education. And so I think that's when I learned about it. And so that some cells only take a day or two or a few weeks or a month, but the cells that take a lot longer, like it takes up to 7 years for any cell in the body to replace. So there's a significance in anthroposophy, that every 7 years in your life, it's like a big kind of
Oh,
all 7 years are a big cycle. So there's a significance with that. But I hadn't thought about that in a long time. So it's interesting that it came up in the dream so clearly.
yeah. I would say in my conscious self, I haven't thought of that in a long time, and this has been a cellular memory about my cells and about their rejuvenation and about my own understanding of some version of a life cycle every 7 years.
Mhm.
Embedded within me.
Mm-hmm.
If it were my dream, I would wonder what happened to me when I was 7 years old, and what kind of did I go through a deep transformation of any kind at that time?
Oh yeah. That's an interesting question because when I contemplated the dream, I only thought about what happened 7 years ago.
Mhm.
But thinking it back to when I was 7 years old, that's when I started school, which was significant for me. Something that I've been really excited about. And I think that's also the time that my parents split,
Mm.
which I don't remember exactly how old I was. Maybe I was 7 or 8 or 9, but it was probably around that time. Even if they didn't split exactly, like probably when I was 7, I already could tell that they weren't happy
Right.
together anymore.
Mhm.
7 in the tarot is the Chariot card, which signifies triumph or victory. It's a very positive card. It's success, balance. And 7 is historical. Everyone thinks or refers to 7 as a lucky number. So, and the other thing that if this were my dream, I would wonder about the cells.
Mm.
Maybe it's a cell phone, and I wonder if the way I'm communicating is transforming, or a cell like an imprisonment cell. Is there some sort of confinement that I'm transforming either into or out of? Or
Yeah.
a cell, like the cells in the body, is a microcosm. So what might the microcosm of my body be transforming the whole part of me? So and because what I see is mainly my face and upper torso, so that signifies to me sort of more suggests to me my outward personality, maybe, or
Mhm.
the mask that I project onto others. What part of that is going through this deep transformation?
Mm. Wow. Yeah.
Mm.
So, Luna, you've probably heard me say this before on the podcast for that dreams, whenever they illustrate death so clearly like this, it's one of the few places we can say always means the same thing, that something in me has changed so drastically. It's as though part of me has died so the new me can be born. And I just love it how I have this understanding as the dreamer. I'm looking at this version of myself and I know that it's a dead body and it's me, but I'm not horrified. I'm like, "Oh, right. Yeah, these are the old parts of me." It's like I'm ready to renew, I'm ready to rejuvenate. So the term I often use is extreme psycho spiritual growth and change. There's some part of me that's changed so much. This old me is dead and the new me has been born.
Mm.
This is a piece I didn't actually pick up. I wondered. So I knew that this was my body and I was deceased.
Yeah, that like I'm still me now looking at it, but I
Mhm.
see that version of myself and I know it's dead and I know it's an old version that was all made up of old cells that have now been replaced.
And I'm floating in this ocean.
I am kind of walking
Yeah.
I
along.
mean, my body is
Oh
floating.
yeah, the body that I see is floating in the
Mhm.
water.
And along with the body are all these mementos from all of or a lot of my past that are floating with this in this oceanic stuff.
It's only one thing that I recognize from my life, which is my desk
My
that I
desk,
used to
okay.
have. But other than that, it's a lot of old, all kinds of things from probably all kinds of different people. It's a
Not
very interesting place. It's actually,
mm,
there's a part to the place that's on land. And it almost reminds me of in Harry Potter, the room of requirement, when it takes that form that of like the really big place that has all these old things where Harry hides.
Mhm.
What is it that he hides? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Anyway, I think that the room takes that form a few times throughout the books, and so it just reminds me of these like all these old things that once had meaning to people and maybe actually still have a function or something. But anyway, so the on land part in the dream of that place reminds me, just has a similar energy to that room of requirement, and then it extends out into the ocean. And so I'm walking around a lot of these old items that are kind of rounded up in the ocean.
So they're not mine as the dreamers. They are, though, of course, in my dream, and I have a sense that they belong to others.
Yeah, or that they used to belong to others.
They used to be. And are these, in my awareness in the dream, are these others also deceased, like my body that I'm viewing? Or does that even matter?
That's not clear.
And I say I'm with someone else. Is there any like idea of it, the gender of this person? Does it feel as though it's male or female?
I want to say it's male, but it's not very distinct who it is, or yeah, it just seems to be this vague dream character. And so this is a snippet of a longer dream that actually had 3 scenes, and this is one of the scenes. And I know I'm there with a bigger group of people in that place, but in this specific scene, I'm just with this one person. But they also, they don't remind me of anyone from waking life, or there's none of that connection.
I just wanted to add that Uranus's cycle is 7 years, and Uranus represents like electrifying change, or deep electrifying intuition. And the fact that in the dream the place extends out into the ocean, my friend Billie has always taught me that that represents the collective unconscious. And for me, the infinite, the ocean is like represents infinite awareness, or a deep intuition, or a sixth sense of some kind. Right. And the way that the furniture is all rounded up. Round for me is nurturing Mother Earth, a circle. It's also the Wheel of Fortune, which represents again the change that Uranus represents. The change, like this is transformation and change, but specifically Uranus is this sort of intuitive change. Like, does that resonate at all?
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, this place, especially the part in the ocean, feels very intuitive somehow, very mystical in a very intriguing way.
So are there any bits of the rest of the dream that you want to share to help clarify this? Just anything that pops out.
Yeah, so maybe the overarching feeling is that this is a place that seems to be governed by some structure, like the government or something. And me and this group of people, we're kind of on this rogue mission. We're like maybe not actually supposed to be there. But it seems to be that this is something that we do often, and we have kind of a specific mission. And in other parts of the dream, it feels like everyone has a role and we all kind of know what to do as we're in this place. And at the end of the dream, there's an alarm signal, and we know we have to get out of here now because we're actually not supposed to be here. It's not terrifying, but it's a little bit alarming. I'm like, okay, gotta get out of here now.
Yeah.
So a lot of projections are flowing inside me as I listen to this, and for me, as I'm hearing the dream, Luna, these other aspects, as I heard the first part of the dream, I feel like I'm observing, I'm noticing, and I'm intrigued. I'm a little bit, it kind of weirds me out, and yet it's not an awful thing that I'm noticing my body there and all these other aspects, and that there's one other person with me, probably a male or male energy. So as I was, I moved from observing that this is happening, and now I'm hearing that, oh, I'm a little bit of a subversive person, and we're doing this, entering into my projection, a spiritual realm that I don't really have permission to do, or I might have permission to do, yet there's a kind of subversiveness about my energy here, about me being in it. And that creates for me a kind of a slight shift in how, for me, this dream, how it is that it's here and what it is meaning, the levels of meaning. My projection, I feel like that this unknown male-ish energy is kind of, my projection, a guide, a kind of a helper for me to go into this realm. I need to go into this realm. If I go into this realm fully, I think that's where I actually physically die. However, I'm kind of invited into this land of the dead. I thought of Philip Pullman's book, His Dark Materials, that is, for me, an amazing portrayal of worlds and philosophies and healing and change. And in one of the sections, he has a place called the Land of the Dead, where we go into this realm. And I won't get into that too much. And yet, when this dream reminded you of Harry Potter, this dream also reminded me of Philip Pullman. And going into these areas that I'm not yet ready, I don't really belong there. So if I look at that metaphorically, not literally, and for me, that's like I am venturing into some deeper aspects of myself than I have ever been into before. And my poetic mind begins to see this as, the place of the dead. And my spiritual experience is I'm changing so much. It is indeed, like Billie alludes to, that I have died, I am dying, I have died, I am dead, and I am dying. Those three aspects that are all woven together. And this guide is showing me this, and then an alarm goes off that kind of brings me back to the conscious self that I know. So I feel like this is a representation of my and the world's, because a dream isn't just for me. The dream is representing my sense of, as I'm observing the world's death and present, have died, is dead, and is dying, kind of that recreation experience that I have in myself as I do with the world.
Wow. Okay.
Luna, how old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay, because I just wanted to say I misspoke about Uranus. It's 7 years in each sign. And what's actually more relevant is that you just went through your Saturn return.
Yeah.
And Saturn's cycle is every 7 years. And that's why the 7th birthday can be a little triggering, or it's a square. So it's kind of a tension. And then the 14th birthday is an opposition. The 21st birthday is the second square. And the 28-29 is the Saturn return, which is what you just went through, which would tell me that you just went through something.
What I went through.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
What I went through was something very deeply challenging. And it allowed me to maybe make some, go through there was a lot of discipline that I had to learn, a lot of lessons, life lessons, and maybe restrictions that I felt. I wonder if that holds true.
Yes, absolutely. Especially, yeah, in the last few years, I went through a lot of transformation and deep into some shadows, but also connecting more deeply with what I believe to be my soul path, my soul calling. And I mean, especially in the past couple years, we've all been through a lot of restrictions. So maybe there's an element of that coming up here as well.
Also, the government is often symbolized by Saturn as a restrictor, or just, they make the rules and we have to follow them. And the government comes up here in my dream, and I'm not supposed to be there. It's kind of a rough mission that I'm on. And it's a specific mission that then I get an alarm. An alarm goes out, and I have to go. So it's sort of like going through a challenge, going through the cocoon of sorts, and then coming out the other end.
The cocoon, I like.
Dreamer's choice, of course. In my dream, I'm aware of a lot of change in the last several years. I certainly have had a lot of change in the last several years, and I'm curious if the dreamer is ready, willing, with no pressure to give an example of what that looks like. The reason I'm asking is that this dream seems to me to be revealing the expanse of my change. And while I'm going through change, a lot of times this is awful. And when I come out of the change, I am so aware of, kind of a weird gratitude that I can see myself having died, and I'm okay about that.
Yeah. Well, so prior to 2020, I was doing a lot of things. Also, I'm a Gemini, so I have many different interests. And my career plan, so I live on Vancouver Island, and my career plan was to become a sign language interpreter, which I would have had to move to Vancouver for to go to school there. And I never really felt called to live in Vancouver, and I lived there for 6 weeks to take an introductory sign language course. And anyway, I just thought that was like, it was something that I was interested in and passionate about, but I kind of knew my heart wasn't fully in that. And I had already years before that started studying plants and herbal medicine, but for some reason I thought that wasn't going to make me enough money, or that wasn't what I should be doing as a main thing in my career. And then when things shifted so drastically in the spring of 2020, and I had 4 months of work just to go inwards and be with myself and be with nature, that's when I really realized that the plants were calling me back, and I was meant to study herbal medicine and indeed make this my main career.
The plants were calling me back.
Yeah.
I love that. It is beautiful. Beautiful words, imagery, the language of the earth and of the beings across the earth are calling me, and I'm attuned to that.
My name is Luna, and I rotate around the earth and where the plants grow.
Great. And even in the background, those that are watching this on YouTube, there's phases of the moon right there behind me. It's on my shoulder. That's wonderful.
Is
And
my it,
I
sorry.
think that's another part of finding my true self. Luna is not actually my birth name.
That was what I was going to ask. Yeah.
But it's so.
It is my birth name.
Yes.
Excuse, not it. She is my birth name.
It's not my given name or my legal name, but it's the
Mhm.
name that I've realized is my soul name.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I've really also claimed that name in the last few years. It was actually, so I'm also a burlesque performer, and Luna Lavender is my burlesque name. And
Mhm.
it was also before I went back to herbal medicine school. I did a lot of burlesque and did a lot of healing and literally peeling back a lot of layers through practicing burlesque. And that's how I really feel like I connected with Luna, and then realized that she wasn't just my alter ego burlesque persona, but she was really, my true self essence.
So this brings up an image that I wanted to ask and I forgot. So I'm seeing myself dead, floating. Is that correct? And I assume I'm naked in that. I see my upper torso.
I think so.
And as I heard as a dreamer talking about my burlesque and peeling off the layers, for me in a dream, when I am naked or almost naked or very vulnerable and transparent, then I become aware of my deeper self. I become aware of myself out there. And this is where I find healing. And this is also, as I do this poetic movement in the world, I become more real and in touch with the deeper who I am.
That resonates a lot.
Well, and it speaks to me of how awkward I may be in the waking world to be my authentic, vulnerable self. I feel a tension. I feel a tension about that, not attention. I feel a tension about how to be as vulnerable and as open and as transparent as my soul, and how do I take care of myself in the with all of that too, because in this my projection, the world doesn't really honor that kind of transparency as I honor, and as I move into these unconscious realms in my dreams, I'm honored there. And yet the conscious waking world doesn't know really what the hell to do with me. And that's okay.
That resonates too.
Yeah.
And then also in the last few years, I've been finding my tribes more and more, and have been learning not to care so much about what others think, especially in this last year, where I feel like I had really found what I was gonna do and what I was meant to put out in the world, but then I still had a lot of doubt of, am I good enough? What are other people gonna think? How are people gonna perceive me? Are they gonna judge me? What are they gonna think about this?
Yeah.
And I've been able to let that go more and more. Still working through it, but definitely been letting go a lot of that.
How old am I in my dream?
I think I am my age now.
How old is my body that I see floating?
Yeah, that's interesting that you're asking that. It's not clear, but it seems to be 7 years before. So maybe around 24 or something.
So I'm going to circle back to, I think Viviana alluded to this. I'm not sure. What was my life like in 19 and when I was 24?
Yeah, it was very different. I had just permanently moved here to Canada from Germany, where I grew up.
German. Okay.
And I feel like that was a bit of a setback because I kind of had to start from scratch in this new country. And I would witness my old classmates, you know, going to university and kind of finding their path. And I had to, yeah, kind of find my roots in this country and get a work permit and get my permanent residency before I even could consider going to school. And I had to really build community and find community. And so I think when I was 24, I was still feeling very disconnected from who I am now in some ways. But in other ways, I was already on that path to finding myself.
Yeah.
Wow, that hits me a zinger that's when I died.
Yeah, I was going to say, Royce, that was exactly what came to me, that there was a death and rebirth 7 years ago in my life because I
Disconnection.
completely changed, you know, left my home country, came to Canada and had to reinvent myself again. And all the identification pieces, all of that falls into the category in dream language of reinventing myself. And then, and it goes along with the comment that Viviana said early on, was that if I see basically the upper torso and face of the corpse that's floating in the water, that has so much to do with my identity in the world, what people see. And then I'll add to that too. One of the reasons I keep thinking, because I'm looking at the items that are in the water that I see in the ocean. And I see my desk, my childhood desk, and I'm excited to see that. But then there's all this other furniture that from other people. So a couple of things came to me with that. One was we've all been through some form of, when COVID hit, we all went through some type of death and rebirth through that experience. Our plans got stopped in their tracks. You know, and I hear the dreamer saying the same thing. So I'm imagining that, you know, I thought I was going to be an American, you know, a sign language interpreter. And it ends up being that the plants were calling me. So the part of my true soul was speaking to me. And I think so many people have gone through this over this pandemic years. We stopped the rat race. Many of us stopped the rat race of doing the job that we hated from the beginning and getting on the freeway or running the kids to daycare or whatever. So many people ended up working from home. And so many people realized that they loved being home, that they liked cooking food at their house, and that they loved being more with their children and their animals. And also they didn't want to spend all that excess time and effort for something that their heart really wasn't into. So all those other furniture and the flotsam that comes in the ocean scene in my version makes me think of how many people have been going through this all over the world. And this has been a global death and rebirth experience for all of us. And whether we grabbed hold of it and took that opportunity or fought against it, either way, we learned a lot about ourselves over these years. So that's part of the reason why in my dream, all this other stuff floats up. But also, again, I always think about, as again, Viviana mentioned, and yes, I've said it many times before, the ocean for me often represents the collective unconscious because we share the oceans across the globe. So it really is something that's universal for all of us. And is this the excess from the ancestors that I'm still carrying? Is this also all the other baggage that the rest of us have that we need to relinquish? And yeah, it's so beautiful though that I'm okay with seeing my body in the water. I mean, I worked a number of dreams where people have realized that they've died, and so many different versions of that can happen. And whenever the sense of the dreamer is calm, and peaceful. And I heard the word peaceful at least two to three times during the narrative of the dream. So in my dream, there's something about me that has really come to a level of acceptance. This is who I am now. I thought I was this person before, but I really know who I am now.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that resonates too. Mm-hmm.
So what else?
if
Oh, go ahead, Royce. Go ahead.
well, if I were 31, is that the
Yeah.
dreamer's age? If I were 31 again,
Right.
And have this, here's where I get my goosey bumpies. If I were 31 and had a dream like this, and with the level of awareness that I in my present waking life age have, because I'm more than twice 31.
Me too. Let's raise our hands.
Whatever. And I'm wondering about the listeners, because I know, in the projective world, we're all working on this with who we are at this moment. So I'm sure the listeners are projecting this stuff too. So if I were 31 and I had a dream like this would change my trajectory. Is that the right word?
Trajectory.
I
never say it right either. I think it's trajectory.
Yeah, whatever. It, suddenly I'm going in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
I can say that. And what a gift it is that my inner self is lifting this up so that I have a conscious awareness of this. If I were not ready, I would not have remembered this dream.
That's it.
And so the inner and the outer are coming together here. Yeah. And this is changing my life more than I really know. And what I do know, I'm changing a lot. I'm also changing at the cellular self. All of my cells are moving in this direction. So years and years ago, when I was in seminary, one of my really good friends, I don't know, he was doing some extra stuff with a biologist, and they were studying plants. And he said that his teacher or friend, whoever it was, showed my friend how when light strikes a plant, let's say a stem or a leaf, that the cells move in that direction, so that the stem may be, let's say it's straight up and down, but the light's over here on my right. It moves. The cells start directing themselves toward the light. And I haven't thought of this in years. And I'm thinking of this now because I'm changing, moving metaphorically towards light, towards knowledge, towards expansion, towards contributing to the world as well as being contributed to.
Oh, that's great. I think it's called heliotropous or something like that, because it's
it's that, trajectory, heliotropous, those words.
Helio from the sun. And you can do, that's why it's always good to kind of rotate your plants so they can grow a little better on the other side, and twirl your trees, the trees. And I have a ficus here. Nobody can see it in my office, but it's here in the corner. And I have to occasionally turn it around, because otherwise, if I leave one side to the dark corner too long, it starts to drop leaves and it looks a little sad. And so yeah, that's beautiful that what you're saying, Royce, because there's parts of me as the dreamer, I'm moving towards the light. I love it. That's great. So there's something in me that's rejuvenating to that level. I'm moving to the light.
at 31, I'm moving to the light. And you know what? I don't remember how old I was when I heard that little story.
Yeah.
I think I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
And
Ooh,
yeah, so thank you for that, Luna.
maybe you were 31.
I'm not very good at math. I was in graduate school, so I finished college, whatever, but not that far away from 31. Yeah. Golly molly.
Good golly, Miss Mom.
I have something too that's being brought up for me, and I just wanted to say it. The fact that I see my own body floating and in the water and dead and peaceful, a little eerie, but peaceful. This brings up for me that the painting Ophelia, the pre-Raphaelite paintings by John Everett Millay. There are a few painters that painted this scene, and it's just seeing Luna, seeing the dreamer here in sort of a pre-Raphaelite energy that exudes actually. And so I'm just, and this Ophelia, she's in the water and she's surrounded by plants everywhere. So she's in the water, but there are plants. There's a lot of greenery.
Oh, wow.
And green or plants is for me a sign of abundance, or so this would encourage me to continue with the plants that speak to me.
Mm. Oh, that sounds beautiful. I want to look up that painting now.
Yeah.
Oh, it is beautiful. Wait to see it.
So I keep wanting to ask more about the desk, because I noticed that my childhood
you.
desk is in this floating version of all the furniture. So tell us more about the desk. What did it mean to me as a child? And I assume I did homework there, but there must have been other activities, drawing or writing or.
Right. Yeah. So I remember having the desk from like maybe even the age of 7 or 8 or something until 19 or 20. So I had it for a long time and I really liked it. It was a beautiful wooden desk made of, I can't remember the wood, but it was like light wood and it had 2 drawers, which I really loved. And I remember spending a lot of time at that desk and not just doing homework, but also I would look at my atlas and look at maps of different countries that I dreamed of visiting, and just studying names of different cities and countries, and kind of just dreaming of going out into the world when I was older. And a lot of writing lists and journaling and exploring language and words. And then later on, when I had a computer, I would use my computer on the desk. But yeah, also I would do a lot of crafting as well.
So for me, the desk represents a lot of inspiration and creativity, and there's a whole lot and dreams of adventure. So there's this the wide of all the things that could have shown up in the dream. The dream is limitless and can show me anything, but it chose to show me this desk. And so it helps me to remind myself of that very young part of myself growing up, and all the ideas and creative thoughts and plans and introspection and all of that. So I would ask myself, how does that revive in me now? Like, why this dream now? And why would it show me that particular desk, which I haven't had now for 10, 11 years?
Yeah.
So it's like, of all the things that could have shown up, it could have been, the rocking chair that my mother rocked me in when I was a baby. It could have been my own crib. It could have been, my bicycle. It could have been thousands of things that could have shown up, but that desk happened to show up. So, whatever it feels to me like there's some sense of hope and dreams connected with that particular piece of furniture. And so am I being inspired by the dream to have that same sense of wonder and awe now?
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that a lot of the things that I used to dream of at this desk, I have now
Mm.
reached or
Mm.
fulfilled or explored.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't mention this when I told the dream, but this person that's with me, when I see my desk, I point out to them like, "Look, there's my old desk." And I'm really
Oh,
excited. And they don't seem to get it. They're just
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, whatever." And I'm like, "But it's my desk. It's great."
That's what happened to it. It ended up in the ocean.
so this is, if I can, am I interrupting you, Billy?
No, I'm
Too
finished.
much?
I'm finished. Yeah.
So this is where a symbol like the desk is to me in my dream a living entity that, you know, on one hand, of course, in our waking life we have furniture that we may really be drawn to and like. In my dream world, the desk becomes a symbol of my creativity, a sense of comfort, a sense of expression, and a sense of exploration. So it's kind of my rocket ship into the realms that, and there's a bunch of stuff going on inside me. I want to know where that desk is right now. I want to know where that physical desk is. And I don't have to have it, although if I could, I would do that, because that would be a waking life metaphor, an incarnation of my hopes and dreams right there in front of me.
Wow.
That I could touch. So if I can't get it, and you know, the waking world has limits, I would invent a way to carry a symbol of that with me, or create a shrine in my space to help me remember that, because it reflects so much of my growth and my change. So that's a piece. Then when in my dream, when I tell this male energy, look, there's my desk, and he doesn't seem to get it, that's a clue for me that my male energetic self isn't quite up to that kind of awareness yet. And this is where I differentiate myself. This is where in the Jeremy Taylor world of dreams, when he would remind us, when our ancestors see us growing, they rush to where and, you know, cheer us on, because not only do they want us to help, you know, to heal and grow, they get something out of this. They heal and grow too.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be literal to be true. So I don't care if there's a scientifically based entity that's on my side, or if it's a metaphor. Doesn't matter, still powerful. And this is where this entity doesn't get the growth that I'm experiencing. And so this is where this is an indication of how the entity needs me to keep growing, because I'm outgrowing them in this moment. That's not a bad thing. That's no judgment. I'm just in a different space, and I'm inviting my entity to grow now. And my entity isn't quite sure why is that important? Like, this is important. This is important. So I'm teaching myself at many levels. I'm teaching my ancestors. I'm teaching my future. I'm teaching my present self.
Ooh, I like that. And also what you said before about the significance of the desk. And I do miss that desk. It was a really good desk. And the one that I have right now, I don't like it as much.
Mhm. Is there a way I can find my desk?
I don't think so.
Mhm.
I don't know where it is. I think it's gone.
Mhm.
I don't think my family has it or anyone. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, here's here is a possible invitation for me to make and or seek out something similar.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like if it were my dream that if I went to a thrift store or some type of used furniture place, or even garage sales sometimes can be, I don't know how often in the Canadian area where you are, if garage sales is a thing, but here
Yeah.
in the okay, I mean, never know. But yeah, so sometimes it's like we can be, uh, just kind of called to find something that will actualize part of the dream. And I think the dreams love to be actualized. It's like if I have a dream about a bear, it's nice to get a little statue of a bear and remind myself of the bear, or whatever might happen. Sculpt something, or without a little clay, or find a particular book or a picture online that helps me remember the bear energy. So there could be, I mean, I think what Royce was saying, I totally resonated with it. It is that I part of the dream calling me to reinvent that particular place of inspiration and connection that I shared with that desk. And maybe it's not exactly the desk, but something similar.
Mhm. Yeah. I would like to have a desk with drawers again. I
Mhm.
really like that.
Right. And that can happen.
A beautiful
love that.
one.
I love that the desk was made of wood, which at one point was living and growing and breathing. And it transformed itself into a desk, which became a source of creativity and inspiration for me. So definitely tagging along with Royce and Billy, it's definitely a call. I would see it as a calling to find another place of inspiration, a place
Yeah.
where I feel the creativity and the drawers. The drawers are important.
And the drawer, I'm with you on that. I like desks with drawers. Plenty of places to put stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have it on hand. So is there anything else you want to look at with your dream, or does it feel as though this might be a good time to stop, or anything else you want to tell us about your dream, or any epiphanies or ahas you want to share?
Another aspect that I was thinking of is that, so I think I mentioned before that it was a longer dream that had 3 scenes, and this was the second scene.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of feeling into this dream, I realized that especially this part seems very like I'm in a different realm or something. And then when the alarm goes off, going into the third scene, we have to go back out of this different realm and kind of back into the more mundane world. And then actually I realized that I brought a lot of stuff
Yeah.
to this place, like clothes and other things that I have to pack up, and then I'm busy packing up all this stuff, and it just feels so different from this part of the dream that we were just looking at.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's interesting too.
And this was the middle part of the dream.
The one that we were
Yes, the one
discussing.
we're working on
middle.
now is the middle.
Yeah.
Well, dreams that like to come in threes like that, so often I think about how they're talking about past, present, future, and they're giving me versions of what's happening. What is the dream commenting about my past and my present and my future, and also a lot to do with mind, body, spirit, because it's all these layers at the same time. And all these, so the fact that the middle feels so unique and different than the rest of the other two parts of the dream, would say to me, yeah, there's a possibility that, yes, I went into a whole nother dimension in the dream. It doesn't feel as mundane. Is that what you're getting at? It's like,
Uh-huh.
feels like more spiritually connected.
Yeah. Yes. And kind of mysterious in this really beautiful way
Yeah.
with the ocean. And
Right.
even the way we're walking around all these things that are rounded up, it feels like I don't know what we're walking on.
Yeah. That was a
Maybe we're
question.
just
Yeah.
walking on the water or something. It's not, I don't have a clear memory of that.
Well, it's a dream, so anything's possible.
Mhm.
Could be walking on the water. Well, thank you for sharing your dream with us, and thank you for coming and allowing us to work it live and in person on video and audio for others to hear as well. I think it's going to help a lot of people because people often get scared when they have a dream about dying or seeing a dead body, or especially if we see our own dead body. That's kind of surprising and shocking to many people. So it's helpful, I think, to as a general metaphor, to let everybody know that um, they always come in the service of health and wholeness, not in the service
Mm.
of comfort and convenience. That's the thing.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you all so much too. I've been really enjoying the podcast, so it's been an honor to be on here and sharing my dream with you all and receiving your reflections and insights.
Thank you.
I
Oh,
th-
Luna.
I thank you for being persistent, and if for whatever reason the cell phone service wasn't working between the US and Canada, and I don't blame Canada. It's like that's probably a good idea. We are quite annoying. And you were persistent in finding, like, using your Instagram account to voicemail
Yes.
your dream. I'm saying this to invite our listeners: be creative. You have these dreams. We have these dreams. They want to help us. And if these dreams aren't shared, we don't grow. Like the ancestors, they want us to grow and change. And we, as waking life humans, want to grow and change. So whoever's dream is out there, do whatever it takes to bring it to us, and we'll bring you to us, and we'll go to you via these technologies, so that we can work on these dreams for our health, healing, and wholeness. We need this for our restoration.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more, Royce. I mean, the more I do this work, the more I realize that the dreams really want to be worked on. And it's not only just for me as the dreamer to heal, but for the connection and community that's part of it, so that we can all go, yeah, right, that feels like my dream too. That's why the projective method is so powerful, because it really is everybody's dream at the same time. This became my dream just as much as it was Luna's dream to begin with. And I could, from Viviana and Royce, like from the comments, like feels like everybody got it. This was all of our dream.
It really felt like this dream wanted to be shared.
Yes. Yeah.
So glad you did.
Yes.
Luna, do you have a website that you'd like to share? Where?
Yeah, my website is earthlightmedicine.com. You can also find me on Instagram. My handle is just at earthlightmedicine. And I do a lot of work with herbs, herbal medicine, plant spirit medicine, and womb work and moon time ritual. And I'm also just starting to call myself a dream worker, and I'm starting to put out some dream sessions and also dream circles out in the same projective method. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. So one more time, the website is
earthlightmedicine.com.
beautiful. I can't wait to go check it out.
Well, I have the honor of following you on Instagram, so that's been a beautiful gift to me to notice you there.
Oh yeah, thank you, Royce. It's
Same
nice
here.
to see you there too.
One cell at a time. And we are changing ourselves one cell at a time. We're healing. And Luna, you're a part of us remembering that.
Mm.
One dream at a time.
One dream. Mhm.
And it can heal the whole body. It's like one dream.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I think that's a beautiful reminder that even though we all go through dark times and shadows and hard experiences, we always get to start over again and release the
Oh,
old
yeah.
selves.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It
Thank
is beautiful.
Well, Billie, where can one work on a dream with Billie Ortiz?
You can find me at wakeuptoyourdreams.com, and I offer private sessions and groups, an evening group and an afternoon group. I'm also starting up another round of the Rocky Mountain Institute of Projective Dreamwork. We have an intro class coming up, depending on when this podcast is released, but it's Saturday, January 14th. But that's all that information is up on the website, wakeuptoyourdreams.com.
Wakeuptoyourdreams.com. And tell us about roycefits.com.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little snippet of my continuing cellular growth in the direction of my book being released sometime after the first of the year, The Geography of the Soul. You can go to roycefits.com, and there's one of the tabs that I believe says forthcoming book, and you can sign up and get the introduction free. That has been an amazing process and journey, sometimes painful and always growth producing. The title of my book is The Geography of the Soul. And the subtitle is Dreams, Reality, and the Journey of a Lifetime. So I would invite you to explore that, because as Luna has shared, how we all change and grow, there we have a spiritual and a physical geography that we are experiencing and that we converse with. And one of the most beautiful ways of conversing with the physical and spiritual geography is through our dreams. And my book explores a lot of that, as well as this amazing hike that I took in 2016 in the English countryside. So all of that weaves together, and as a spiritual counselor, we process and work on how to create beauty and purpose and meaning however we are presently in this world.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm the producer, Viviana. My website is viviana.org, where I am primarily a musician. Well, I am a musician. And viviana.org/magic. You will see Viviana the astrologer, tarot card reader, dreamworker, and sound healing.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah. So, listener, jot down our dreamer hotline if you'd like to call in your dream. The number is 720-573-9195. Or send us your dream via Facebook messaging or Instagram messaging. We enjoyed receiving the dreams, however they may need to float to us.
That's great.
Ooh, well said.
All right.
So, thank you,
Blessings,
Luna, once
everybody.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billie. Thank you, Royce. And
You're
until
welcome.
next time, happy dreaming.
Thanks for having me.
Blessings.